STV.
Welcome back. Zik has joined us. She's our guest today.
It was so nice to be a guest. Yeah, bring on the questions.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Good morning, and I'm glad I made it finally.
All right, getting into the Lagos traffic and meandering through the way and everything. But what we're going to have a discussion on restructure. We're going to cross over to Abuja, where we have a guest who is on standby, Mohammed Shitu, the chairman of Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, and he's online. Excellent, great to have you join us this fine morning, sir. And I'm sure that you have been ventilating opinions and the reactions that have happened following the National Assembly's attempt to amend the Constitution. A number of reactions have happened saying that the Assembly has lost the opportunity to sort of restructure Nigeria. I'm going by a number of calls from different quarters in the country. Many people thinking that is the number one issue rather than the other issues they did try to amend the Constitution. Tell us what you think by in the aftermath, if it's possible, restructuring can happen in any other way other than through the National Assembly.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigerian. I believe that as nation grow, we must change our way and our laws and whatever guide us. Therefore, it is not static that we cannot change. Even the National Assembly can still reverse themselves. They can still go back because if you look at it, the popular opinion is that restructuring must take place. And restructuring is very, very, very important in Nigerian life today. Why is it important? We can't depend on these infrastructures that we have been since 1960. And how do you change those infrastructures? You must be able to tamper with the both exclusive list and concurrent list. Therefore, it is necessary that the National Assembly should go back on board to be able to put up the structure and approve it. Restructuring is very important. It creates wealth. It will create more employment. It will give hope to all Nigerians. And I will cite an example for you. Today, as a country, somebody was analyzing to say Maiduguri, that's Borno State, take about 73 billion from the federal cover and generate about 3 billion. Believe me, if in Maiduguri today we put up a gum Arabic plantation of so many those value lands, you find out that Borno State will generate nothing less than 300,000 to 400,000 because gum Arabic is more expensive than the crude oil, and therefore Borno State as a federating unit will not be waiting on the federal to take 70 billion. What would they do? What would they do with that money? And then Borno State can now go on to put up their own good road, put infrastructure, put up electricity. There's no way a state will stand on Nigeria on a national grid. Why national grid? Why can't you allow people, state, and whatever to generate and even distribute and sell this electricity? Why must we go through national grid? Why must we depend on power holding? These are the area we must go and look at, and you can't tamper with this area without tampering with the exclusive list. Therefore, the structure is necessary if we are to be developed as a country. We need to industrialize. How do you industrialize? When there are roads, those feeder roads that are supposed to be constructed by state or local government and even ward, but they could not because most of these roads are on the exclusive list. How do you go to? How do you put them in order? How do you? So there are a lot that must allow the restructuring of this country. We can't just go like this. It's not possible. In order for us to get a country, we are an African country. We are a leading African country that's supposed to show examples to other countries. Therefore, we should not totally depend on the policies we borrow from outside. We should now look at our own environment and then put these policies that will help us. And I always cite China as an example. China, as a communist, they went to borrow from the capitalist state and went to Russia also to look at the socialist system and marry it with their communism character and build it. And today you find that a local government from China invest even in this country and take profit back to that local government, not to the federating unit. They take it to the local government, and look, they invest everywhere. You go to Brazil, you see them. You get anywhere in the world, you see them. Can our local government in Nigeria invest in another country and bring back profit to Nigeria? The answer is no. So therefore, we must, as a country, as a people, restructure. For us, we believe that restructure is a core and cardinal point of our party, APDA.
Are we disappointed in the stance the National Assembly took as regards the devolution of powers? And do you think that it has to take restructuring for the states to fully reach full potential as regards how much they generate, FDI and the rest of them?
Yes, each state has potential. No state in Nigeria that you don't have resources, both agricultural resources and mineral resources. No state. Is it Zamfara, where you have barite, you have gold? Do you know if you give them chance to exploit these mineral resources, they won't depend on the federal. They won't even want to what concern them with you. They'll pay tax to the federal, and federal will take care of defense, foreign affairs, immigration, custom, and whatever. Then you allow them to run their economy and then create employment, bring up small-scale industries that will help them. They will go to Bayelsa State and then forget about oil. Where are the streams? These streams are more expensive than the crude oil that we are wasting our time. And then get to somewhere like Oyo State, where they have both cocoa and then cotton around Shaki in Oyo State. Well, if they depends on this cotton, harvesting cotton and then putting up garment industries around that area, what concern them with federal? What would they do? They pay tax back to the federal. And then several states in Nigeria, is it Ondo State where you have bitumen? Instead of us going to Venezuela or another country to bring down our bitumen, you can just go to Ondo State, fetch your bitumen, allow Ondo State to invest in those cocoa, bitumen, and things like that. Go to Zamfara, as I've earlier said, where you have Talata Mufara, where you have hectares of land where they plant tomato. Yeah, they will feed Nigeria. There are no state in Nigeria that is, even Abuja here that we are sitting. We have dolomite in Abuja here. We have several mineral resources in Abuja here. You don't need to depend on this thing. That's why we must go and look at it and put up what we must restructure for development if we want the country to develop.
All right. We'll take a break. We need to pay some bills. And when we come back, our discussions will continue. Please stay with us.
It's Today on STV.
Today, I will laugh.
Today, I would move.
Today, I will play.
Today, I will push harder.
Today, I will drink Olympic milk. I will stay active for longer.
Olympic milk, now available in great value pack.
It's Today on STV.
Yes, thanks for joining us again. And we're going over to our Abuja studios where Mohammed Shitu has been joined with Sonny Monidafe. Good morning, Mr. Sonny. Now, before the break, you were saying something, Mr. Mohammed Shitu, that all states are blessed with rich human and natural resources. Now, do we have to wait for the word restructuring before we make use of these rich human and natural resources we have?
Thank you very much. You just actually... Well, to start with, sorry I'm late, traffic. I am Sonny Monidafe, an APC member, but I don't speak for the party. I'm a public affairs analyst, and I'm going to analyze it as I see it. Now, we don't need restructuring to do all those things. I've always said it that, quoting Albert Einstein, that you cannot change a problem, solve a problem with the same mindset you had when you created the problem. In Nigeria today, we have a situation where the average Nigerian does not obey anything. Traffic laws, name them. Every day you go on the street. I was driving now from my house. I passed through Bega in Abuja. If anybody knows Bega in Zone 6, coming towards the expressway. Now at the junction of Bega, a lot of traffic, taxis, painted and unpainted, stopping in the middle of the road to discharge or carry passengers. Take the turn from Bega going towards the express, you see a bus stop, well designated. It has become like a garbage bin. People don't use it. That is just one. Now with that kind of mindset, how can we restructure? What are we restructuring, by the way? And restructuring means different things to different people. People have said, for some people in the Southeast particularly, restructuring is secession. For some others, restructuring is devolution of powers, which I buy, which the APC, I think, has in mind as what they mean by restructuring. For others, it means going back to the regions. Now, if you go back to the regions with the mindset we have, are we going to move forward? My answer is no. I see this from a medical perspective. I'm not a doctor, but I have enough experience, knowledge about how the cancerous cell works. If a cancerous cell is found in a human body, it has become cancerous, and you tamper with it, it spreads. People that are calling for restructuring are complaining about injustice, unfair sharing of office in the country, and so many other things. If you now break up to the regions, are we going to be guaranteed a free and fair, equitable distribution of goods and positions in those zones? My answer is no. A good example, if you restructure today and you say, okay, you give power to the zones, they are recreated. Somewhere like the Southeast, we had a case recently of a bishop that was posted, and a man from Anambra who was posted to Imo State, a Catholic bishop. The people in Imo State refused to accept him. Till today, there's a stalemate on that issue. You have the issue of in Anambra again, the Aguleris and the Muleris are at each other's throats, killing themselves. Let's leave the Southeast for now. Come to the North Central, Benue State. The Idomas and the thieves are at daggers drawn. They've been at daggers drawn for years. Now, if you now restructure and you give power to those zones, in Benue State, for example, what happens? How will the thieves treat the Idomas? Again, in Idoma land, we have the Igedes who have been maltreated by the Idomas. In Plateau State, the Biroms, the various people who are there. When Governor Jan was governor of Plateau State, he did everything in favor of the Biroms, forgetting other tribes in their dozens not properly treated. So basically, as a person, I am against restructuring because of the very fact that we must change our mindsets before we can change the environment around us. As long as leaders get away with blue murder, they commit atrocities, nothing happens to them. If we restructure, we are going to just create power zones, power blocks in the various zones, and there'll be a problem. What's the solution? 2019 is coming. Get your voter's card and vote. With time, our leaders will realize that we, the followers, are actually their employers. For now, the issue of restructuring has become like the in thing. Everybody gets up and talks about restructuring. Among all those speaking, one of the persons that I know has really hit the nail on the head is Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president. He talked about restructuring as devolving powers to the various states. And then some things that do not require constitutional amendment can be devolved to the states to start doing, like roads, hospitals, and what have you. El-Rufai mentioned the same thing when he was on a TV program sometime last month. But the mines and the steel industry has devolved powers to the states, giving them the rights to issue licenses to anybody who wants to prospect for solid minerals. Like my colleague here said, we have solid minerals in this country across the best, about 38, 40, and top quality in this country that is just waiting to be exploited. But with the current mindset we have, if we restructure, I assure you that we'll just transfer the problems to the various parts of this country, and it will not go well for us as a people. So restructuring, yes, but first of all, restructure your minds before you can restructure and change your environment.
Mr. Moni-Dafe, a number of politicians and political actors will try to avoid not talking about the issues so they're not labeled as being arrogant. So, for example, you have the northern governors, a number of them having a meeting last week saying they wanted to come up with a committee to see how they can define what exactly restructuring means. They've had deliberations and perhaps come up with a report very soon. Tell me what you think. A number of people have tried their hands in finding out a solution to the problem and have failed to convince, or rather have stirred controversy in the wake of it. The National Assembly, most recent with the amendment of the Constitution, people taking them to task on what happened with the devolution of powers and the Land Use Act. Executive, people still wait for what they can do. If you had a crystal ball, for example, and you're going to predict what you think will come up, is it possible that we can have some sort of agreement to make a change to things collectively as a people, or we will have this sort of scattered interpretations?
Well, let me take your answer by referring to what the Senate President Saraki said last week, that they took consideration of the kind of hate speeches prevalent in the country. That was what led to their deciding not to pass the amendment on devolution. And I agree with that. Tune into radio stations after your program. Nigerians out there listening to me, tune into radio stations or go to social media. See the kind of hate speeches going on. Now, if you restructure, if you want to bring about a change at this particular point in time, I assure you that we will take decision out of an emotional state of mind and end up harming ourselves the more. Because people are now angry. I tell you, the kind of division we have today in this country, the Civil War of 1956 to 1970 did not engender that kind of hate and dislike. It did not. Sadly, we are all intermarried today in this country. We are all one. Like it or not, you scratch 90% of the families in this country across the north and the south. You scratch the surface, you discover that somebody in the family from the north is married to somebody from the south. We're already one. But because emotions are high, people talk and they don't really remember that they go home, they have nephews, cousins, aunties, nieces who are from the other side. As I speak to you, I always use this as an example. It's for the purpose. I speak for millions of people. I am an Urhobo man from Adamawa State. I won't be tired of saying this. I am Delta by origin. My father left Delta State, Midwest region those days, 1950, for Yola. He was the first photographer there. All of us were born there. So I'm Delta by origin, Adamawa by birth, Abuja by residence. I speak for millions of people. The way we are today as a nation, we are so divided. We are so divided. And like the young lady asked me the first question, do we need restructuring to do all these things? No, we don't. What we have in the Constitution, if we apply it diligently, can take us to El Dorado. If we call our leaders to question, we assure them that if, not assure, you say assure, maybe we remind them that if they don't do what is good for us, the next election will vote them out. I assure you, with time, our leaders will realize that we, the voters, are the employers, and they will learn to respect us. What we are saying is because they are used to getting away with blue murder. I always make an example, and forgive me if you are offended by it. Who remembers Professor Maurice Iwu today? Nobody remembers him. This man did a lot of damage to our political structure in this country. 11 states only had been collated in 2007. He went ahead and announced the results. In the remaining 26 states, including Abuja, he went ahead and declared the results. People said money has changed hands. Today, who remembers him? Nobody. People have done things and gotten away with it. If we start getting people to account for their past misdeeds, I assure you, we will achieve what we want to achieve and grow along the line. In the process, the followers, the average Nigerian, will realize that we are a reflection of the leaders that we appoint. Like the saying goes, the people elect or get the leaders they deserve. A Nigerian person that sees the traffic light showing red and beats it in broad daylight. A Nigerian person that does not pay light bills. A Nigerian person that goes to build along drainages, build on illegal green areas. You come to appeal to them, they will tell you you are wicked. People block the roads. With what kind of followership, what do we expect? So for me, I think I side with the Senate for that comment they made, that it was because of the hate speeches that were prevalent in the country, which is what led them. Is it true? I don't know. I take Senator Saraki for his word. I agree with that. Every time I'm driving, I'm at home, I listen to radio programs. The kind of hate speeches I see is frightening. We must, first of all, change our mindsets before we can change our environment. I repeat that again.
While you go on and say that we must change our mindset, let's not forget that there's a system in place that hasn't brought production, a lot of growth and development to the Nigerian people. And that's what is fueling many of the feelings that Nigerians are feeling today. We're talking about the fact that different ethnic groups are calling for self-actualization. A lot of people don't feel like they're parts of this country because development hasn't been at a good, healthy pace over the past few years. Don't you think that is the reason Nigerians are asking for something different?
Who are the Nigerians? I'm in Nigeria. I'm not asking for it. Like I told you, I speak for millions of people like us. Now, where do you place me? Where do you place us? I tell you that today I have to convince people afresh. I'm 61 this year. I have to convince people afresh that I'm from Adamawa State. There are millions like me. So we are talking about some people are the people, mostly Southeasterners. They want self-actualization, they want to restructure. But in restructuring, you transfer the oppression, you transfer the injustice, you transfer the impunity to the various zones. So basically what's happening is that some people who are angling for leadership want to be given the opportunity to go and take control of the environments, which is not fair, it's not right. And the majority of us are totally against it. Now people say, majority of people, who has done that census, who has done that research? Along that line, I am saying I speak for millions of people because after each program I do on TV, on radio, people tell me that I spoke their minds. There are millions like me. I'm sure if we check out Shitu's family here, he has people across the divide. It's people across the divide. Now if you talk about doing that, what are we doing? So we're just trying to run away from our shadows. Our problems have always been ourselves first. We elect people that lead us. We should not complain. 2019, start doing it right. I assure you, Victoria, if we elect the right people, 2019, people that we think did not live up to the position that we elected them, if we don't elect them in 2019, gradually we'll have some sanity coming to our leaders. They realize that the followers have become more aware. The followers are becoming more aggressive about who represents them, and they will not do the right things. But to now abandon this out of sentiment and say some people feel they are oppressed and they move over, that is not the solution. And I've always said it, two wrongs don't make a right. If you think that some people are oppressing you, trying to go about it the wrong way is not the solution. They are going to make it worse. And will not be better for it. Because truly, if you ask me now, I speak now as a person as well, again. My wife's younger sister, her husband is from Abia State. She's from Adamawa. So I have nephews and nieces who are half Abia, half Adamawa. I am a bat, like they say in Afsa Jemagi, Urobo man from Adamawa State, now in Abuja. My Adamawa. Babangida, God bless his wife's soul, Miriam. His only wife that we know, Miriam, was from Delta State. Atiku Abubakar, his first wife is from Oyo State, Osun State. His last wife is from Anambra State. What are we talking about? We are all one. We can do the evolution of power, we can do all those things, but first and foremost, we must change our mindset, restructure our minds, then get our voters' cards ready for 2019. Vote right. Anybody that is not doing the right things, vote him out. I assure you, by the time we're inaugurating National Assembly and the executive after the election of 2019, we'll have a more disciplined leadership who will now think about Nigerians before they do anything. But rushing out of sentiments, out of emotions to say restructuring will be a wrong thing to do.
Do we have to wait till 2019 before we start doing the right things? Now, there's this old pattern that says you can't get the right results by doing the old things over and over again. And of course, restructuring is reorganizing yourself in order to get a maximum output at the end of the day. Now, don't you think that every one of us, like you rightly said, needs to have a restructure of the mind? Your mind has to be restructured, first of all, before you can embrace the larger picture of restructuring. Like you rightly said, you don't think it's the right time to talk about restructuring. I would like to know why you don't think it's the right time, regardless of all you've mentioned in the different zones in Nigeria that is happening. So why do you think we should wait to 2019 to vote out people or to vote in people?
That's the only option. That's the only time we can vote, unless they want to start implementing the recall option in the constitution. If they can do that, if we can do that, fine and good. But for now, the only way we can solve this thing is through the ballot paper or in ballot box, through our voters card. We're in a democracy. It's not a military government where you can say you overthrow it. It's a democracy, and democracy thrives. In fact, the only way you can continue your democratic credentials is through voting. So for the time being, while we wait for that time, I want Nigerians to be aware that we are the employers of our leaders. From the presidency to the National Assembly, we are the employers. Get our voters card ready. Out there, if you have not gotten your voters card, please go and get it. 2019 will be the threshold, will be for me the turning point, the time when we will see the change that we've been clamoring for, where people who are now angry enough with leadership will say now enough is enough. Let's go and vote right. I am preparing myself because I have an issue with my rep from Adamawa State and the senator. There are things that I have been pursuing in the National Assembly for the past 12 years. Up till now, it hasn't happened. I'm going to call them to account, tell me why they could not get my issue solved when they come to me asking me to vote for them again. Same with everybody. Go and question your representative. Go and question your senator. Question them. Don't be scared of them. That's our problem. We are scared of our leaders. Now, I take a brief recourse to America. The Republican Party now is becoming scared. They are gradually abandoning Donald Trump because they are aware of the midterm elections coming up, that the people will vote them out because Donald Trump has been having so many issues in-house, 6 months and already about 6 firing or resignations. The same thing must happen here. We should get ready to question our leaders. My governor of Adamawa State, Governor Bindo, I'm going to meet him. He asked me to vote for him again. I will ask him, you have done ABCD, but you have not done this. I will question him. We should all do the same thing. That's the only way. Truly, if we try to do anything in a rush, in a hurry, like in the Bible, if you permit me, when Jacob met Esau and said you should sell his birthright. Because Esau was hungry, out of emotion, controlled by hunger, he sold his birthright, he sold it, only to regret later. You don't take a decision from an emotional background. If you're happy, if you're angry, if you're upset, if you are anything emotional, don't take a decision or you will regret it. So I'm appealing to Nigerians. If you think you are not happy with what's happening, wait for 2019. Right. If your children have become 18 after the last elections, get them to go and register and be ready to vote. Let our voices speak in 2019. And then I assure you, you can come back to this studio. 2019 elections will be a threshold. You will see, because Nigerians out there are aware. But take out your anger through the ballot box. No other place.
All right, well, let's take a breather here. Let's get to Mohammed Shittu, still in the Abuja studio. Mr. Shittu, I'm sure you've been listening with interest, intrigued at Mr. Moni Dafe's comments. But tell me something, still on the meeting that happened last week with the northern governors and political actors and traditional rulers. One of the fallouts of that meeting, while they're getting the comments and views on restructuring from the region, is that they want a reconstituting of the Federal Civil Service Commission, the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, as well as the Federal Character Commission, saying that lopsided appointment has been responsible for a lot of these sort of agitations. Do you think it's simplistic enough to imagine that if you fix all of this, a lot of people, ethnic groups and regional groupings in this country will feel that restructuring has been carried out?
For us, we believe that, first of all, what brought about this agitation? Why people feel that they are being marginalized? Why people feel that federal character should be reflected in our day? All is because people, there's absolute poverty in the country. And that is why we are saying you have to put up this restructure in place. If you create an enabling environment where people are employed, where they earn their naira, when we have 24 hours economy in the country, people work from night, days and shift. They don't even think of where I come from, federal character of where this or that. People think that where I come from, I must be given, because there's poverty. They don't have no work. The infrastructures have collapsed. There's nothing for them to take home. In fact, even state governors could not pay them. So people start thinking, yes, it has to be federal character. It's my brother. My brother should be the Minister of Finance, so that he can, at least I'll get money from him. I'll get favors from him. But if people are engaged in a good, they are employed, what concerns him with who is his brother? Why is this? And that is why the structure is very important. What are the causes of this poverty? Why are we not being employed? Why our industry are being closed every day? The major thing is one, power. And this power, until you look into the exclusive list, you can't change anything about power. Now, if you generate, if I today go and generate an electricity, I have to now put it on national grid. For national grid to take maybe I generated it in my farm in Wagu, Niger State. It has to go to national grid, where it will be taken to Adamawa or Maiduguri. Why? Why can't we encourage people in Maiduguri to go into solar? Employ millions of people. And then through this solar, they also even generate and sell even to other countries like Niger and Cameroon. Or you encourage people from the south who has oil, put up a turbine, and then also generate on their own and be able to sell back to other countries like Cameroon, like Cote d'Ivoire, everywhere. So until we look at this exclusive list and concurrent list, and then look at what are the cause of this poverty, which were, let me give you another example. If we look at our agricultural crop, in those days you have marketing board who regulate prices and even promote exportation of these crops. That is no more there. Now, you must look at how you improve this marketing board and be able to also promote certain crops from certain, let each state bring up their cash crop and develop it. Let me give you an example. Let's say in Zamfara State, you have enough tomato that are wasted every day. If that state today bring up a plant where you encourage farmers to go into tomato farming, they bring it to that processing plant. The processing plant process it for them, and then they are able to now sell it to some hotels in Abuja, to every Nigerian, or take it to Niger. What concerns him with who is in Abuja, who is going to be minister? He doesn't even want to know who is. If you ask him who is the minister from Zamfara, he doesn't know, because he's making life. He's enjoying himself. He's traveling to Niger, to Cote d'Ivoire, to everywhere with his tomato product. These are what we are saying. We must look at the exclusive list and then take up some power, give it to some state. State should now stand as a federating unit. We are not talking of region. Let's state. Well, then there will be competition between states. Abia will start competing with Anambra. They will not see themselves today as an Igbo man again. They will see themselves as competitors. Because Abia said, okay, what do we have? We are the one that do most of this manufacturing. We do slippers, we do this, we manufacture this, we do. Anambra to say, okay, we are the market bay. You must, when you manufacture, you must bring it to our market in Onitsha here. You see, competition set in. Employment, people start getting engaged. 24-hour economy, electricity is available. You know, a lot of things would come up. These are what we are saying. But if you don't create an enabling environment, and how do you create this enabling environment? There are some law that guide all these things that are in exclusive list. You must bring it back to concurrent list. Restructure is necessary, but we are talking of development restructuring for development. Now, let's go to Zaria. Where is our cotton farms that were in Zaria? Get to Kaduna today, where our industry, people go to China to import all sorts of fabrics, whereas we have the best cotton around Zaria there, around Malfashi, all of that area. Even that is the belt that get to Kainji, get to Shakinoyo State, go to, those are areas you get the best cotton in those days. Go into archive and look at where are they today. Because there's no good road, federal government has to now construct those roads. We are saying no. Remove this federal road from the exclusive list. Allow state governors to construct road, put toll gate, and then get revenue from it. They employ their citizens for that toll gates. They employ their citizens for maintaining those roads. They employ their citizens from doing all other jobs on that. It will create employment. Where our rail system, remove it from exclusive list. Allow individuals, state governors, to also construct rail within their state. Then it will take on. There are a lot that we must sit down as our people and restructure for development of our country and put food in the table of Nigerians. And allow, if 2019 comes, it will come and go. If we still remain like this, we don't know. This agitation until you remove poverty and create employment before agitation can go out. Countries have find themselves in this type of mess. China have find themselves in this type of mess before. They put up 50-year rolling plan. Their 50-year rolling plan came to fruition in 2010, and they became second largest economy in the world. And they are proving that by 2010 to 2020, they will become the first economy in the world. We have planned 2020, we have planned 2010, where are we? We have nowhere in the map of the nation, of the world. economically. Until our economy is vibrant and people are employed, millions of our youth today believe that they will just cross Mediterranean Sea and become millionaires and get just for them to even have food to eat. Whereas if you throw any crops on ground where I'm talking to you here, those crops will grow. And then where do we get it wrong? Why will our millions of youth be going out? Give them opportunity. How do you give them opportunity? You must also look at other aspects of our restructuring. So we are saying restructuring is for the development of this country. That is the cardinal point of Advanced People Democratic Alliance.
And of course, planning we must continue. While you're talking about the fact that restructuring is important for the development of the country, knowing what went on in the House of Assembly a few days ago, do you think that they fully understand the kind of restructuring that Nigeria needs? I'll give you time to answer that question. We're about to open the phone line so that Nigerians can call in and participate in this conversation. The lines will be scrolling on the screen. We'll take a break. Yeah, so you can call in and contribute to the conversation at this point. So back to my question, do you think that our lawmakers fully understand the extent of restructuring or the model of restructuring that Nigeria needs at this point? We talked about the fact that it's about developing the capacities of various states and all of that, giving them more responsibility and more power. But there seems to be a situation where we had a lawmaker on the show who talked about the fact that restructuring is a huge lot, and the lawmakers would rather take it piece by piece. So do you think that they understand what restructuring is or what we are calling for?
For us, probably they don't understand. You know, they may, because from what he's saying, the Senate president is saying that those because of the hate speech and co. Definitely they may think maybe if they are calling for restructuring for them to secede, for them who want to secede. Nobody would like to secede in a country that is enjoying, in a country that has employment, in a country that is engaged, in a country that has 24-hour economic development. Nobody would like to leave such country. But people become agitated because of the poverty of even their mind. Their mind become, they start thinking, why do I belong to this country? The country is not being fair to me. Because tell me, how many of our military that died that are being well compensated? Tell me, will you want your son to go into that military where you go and die and nothing happen? Or to the police where if he's shot, the only thing they bring to his house is 50,000? Can we improve their welfare? How do you improve their welfare? How do we be able to get, until we are able to create wealth, to be able to pay them well? So I believe that I don't think the National Assembly really understand what restructuring that we are calling for is.
Mr. Shitu.
The restructuring we are calling for is for development of the country.
Mr. Shitu, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just a moment.
Electricity by all strata of the country, all
just a moment, Mr. Shitu.
Unit federation of the country, and we are not saying regional. No, the country has
just a moment, please.
Been a regional, putting east or south. No, we are saying let states start competing among themselves. Let the state that have cocoa start competing with the state that have cotton. Let the state that have cotton start competing with state that have gum arabic. Let the state that have gum arabic start competing with the state that have streams, which we allow other foreigners to come and take in our. Can't we buy trawlers for the teeming youth to go to our ocean and be able to give us this?
Let's take Daniel calling in from Kaduna. Please, Daniel, go ahead and make your contribution. Lost the call, Daniel. Just do try and call back. Lines are open, which means you can call in, make your contribution to the topic on restructuring, and we'll get back to Abuja, where Mr. Shitu was making his comments. Mr. Shitu and Mr. Monidafe, so sorry, but once in a while we'll get calls, so we may have to interrupt your discussion, but you can continue once the calls are concluded. Well, please go ahead and continue with your statements.
Well, you see, this restructuring, as I said, probably they didn't understand it. Probably they are talking of seceding or this. Nobody, as I've earlier said, would like to succeed in a country that is economically buoyant and that put food on their table. And that what we should start looking at is to harness and then let the state take comparative advantage of these resources that God gives to the country. I've told you that somewhere like in Bayelsa, somewhere like in Akwa Ibom, somewhere like in Calabar,
all right.
Get trawlers for our teeming youth.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Shitu. We have Mark Lord calling in from Bayelsa State. Please go ahead and make your comments. All right, we've got some network issues here. I'll try and sort that out as quickly as possible. But please do try call. Constitutional amendment and restructuring by other means. We'll give Mr. Shitu 30 seconds to wrap up on that, and then we'll get to another question. Please go ahead.
So this belt, which are called Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and then if you give them trawlers and they go to high sea and be able to fetch out all the streams, fishing and it's more, if you look at the price of streams and compare to the price of crude oil, it's more expensive than crude. Why can't we encourage our teeming youth to do that? Why can't we encourage our teeming youth in Borno State to go into Goma Arabic, which is used everywhere in the world, which is more expensive than the crude? Why can't we go into Funtua and other areas like Shaki in Oyo State, where you can put up cotton plantation, which is more expensive than this crude oil? Why can't we encourage state with cocoa to not to export the raw material, but to be able to put it into manufacture it, that and then be able to put it into finished goods for export instead of exporting the raw? Because if you are able to put those plants in that area and they are able to now put it into a finished good, it will help. The manufacturing sector there will employ millions of Nigerian youth. Then marketing will employ millions of Nigerian youth before exportation, which bring back to us the dollar or whatever currencies that they are able to bring into the country. This will help the economy than for us as a people to sit down and become an import country rather than turning our economy to be export.
Let's take Oyime, who is calling in from Benin. Please go ahead and make your contribution. Well, looks like we have issues with the network still. Sorry about that. If you're trying to call in and having difficulties, it's not your phone, it's network. I think Zika, you got a question for Mr. Moni-Dafe.
Well, I want to address it to Mr. Shitu because it refers to what Mr. Moni-Dafe said. Now, he says we should wait. Mr. Moni-Dafe said earlier that we should wait till 2019 and, of course, go and cast our votes, choosing the right officers. Now, do you think it's too early that we're talking about restructuring? Although you have put a prefix to yours saying you want developmental restructuring, do you think it's too early that Nigerians are talking about restructuring at this point in time? Mr. Shitu.
For us, we believe that it is even too late. It's getting too late for us to start talking of restructuring because our economy is already down. And that is why you see the agitation coming every day from every angle. You see our teeming youth who have no work, but they have to take into crime. How do you cope this? If we wait between now and 2019 and we don't do anything, are we going to have this country in our hand? Today, before you move from Abuja to Kaduna, you think twice.
Do a bit.
Why?
Let's
because
take our caller.
No security.
Emmanuel is calling.
Police just come.
Mr. Shitu, please, let's pause you a bit and take our call. Emmanuel, good morning. Hello, Emmanuel. Go ahead with your contribution. Okay, I'm sure we have some bad networks here. So please, may you go ahead, Mr. Shitu.
Between here to Kaduna, Abuja, Kaduna, you think twice before you go. And police just brought an information out to say it is the youth around that Kaduna, Abuja axis that are into this crime. In those days, this can never happen. But because they don't have anything to do, there's no work. If you cannot put a processing plant for them around there, because until you have this processing plant that process most of the crops that they grow, it rot away. And as soon as it rot away, the next thing they start thinking, an idle mind is to commit crime. How do we get money? So we are saying we need this development to be able to put Nigerian back into economic development track, because we are already out of that track. And that is why you see a Niger Delta man, what you think is, let me break this pipe that they are even used to enjoy themselves. Let them be like me. Then you think, or you go into far north there, people are start agitating that it's because there's nothing to do. Right. If you put Goma Arabic, as I've been repeating to you here,
I'm sorry to interrupt you,
and put processing plant, and people are working, what concern them with the issue of going to take arms or something?
Quickly, unfortunately, we've run out of time, so I'd like to get your closing statements, but we'll start from Mr. Money Dafe. Mr. Money Dafe, in 1 minute, please give us your closing statements for this interview.
My closing statements, I agree with you too on the fact that idle mind is the devil's workshop, but my solution is not as his. We don't need the structuring, for example, to know what happened with the Jakarta Steel Complex. If I fly into Port Harcourt, you see hundreds of miles, kilometers of palm trees that could have produced a lot of revenue for this country, lying idle. You take a drive from Port Harcourt to Abuja, left and right, anywhere there is no town, trees upon trees of cashew trees all over the place. Growing up, I remember the cotton mill in Kumo, Gombe State. I remember the hides and skin in Jimeta Yola. I remember in the 70s, mid-80s, Lower Benue Development Authority in Gombe that was even canning tomato juice and mango juice. I remember the mining industry in Jos, Plateau State as a whole. I remember the coal industry in Enugu State. We don't need the structuring for us to get those things working. Our people who are going to be the ones to drive whatever is structuring we do have a wrong mindset. So no matter what you do, if the mindset is the same, you produce the same results. Now, to the northern leaders, I agree with them on the appointments. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. If you make the right appointments, that is one step in the right direction. Chief Adogbe took one step, exporting yams. You need to hear the kind of outcry against Chief Adogbe. Nigerians have not had enough food, they are exporting food. After the outcry, I went to the market in Abuja. I saw yams all over the place. Now those young men that my friend is talking about, if they go into farming, farm those yams, farm other crops, and we start exporting them. Chief Adogbe said he wants, one of the European countries has given Nigeria the contract to start processing cashew in Nigeria. If we do that, that is restructuring. We can have enough of what we have here. Finally, this northern meeting that they had, I don't see any reason why somebody like me, 61 years old, a northerner, will not be called to that kind of meeting. And like I say always, there are millions like me. This is why people like me are worried. If you are going to this, you are going back, it's like to your tents, oh Israel. Now, if I go to Delta State, I worry. Nobody knows me. I'm not in Adamawa. Now, northern leaders are having meeting, they won't call me. There are millions like me. So restructuring is right, but we must restructure our minds first, then we'll now restructure in the sense that we get our people to do the right things when we elect them. That is the proper beginning step to take. Thank you very much.
Very much a pleasure. Always talking to Sonny Money Dafe. Chieftain with All Progressives Congress, thank you very much for coming on the show. Together with him, we've had Mohammed Shitu, who is the chairman of Advanced People's Democratic Alliance. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the show. Of course, very candid and frank opinion. We can ventilate on these ideas, of course, and see how we can move this country forward. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the show. Right, so great show. Tomorrow, the traffic only held Zika. I had a number of our guests also.
I apologize for being
So we'll have the discussion on the Lake Chad Basin tomorrow together with. That's a Boko Haram issue that left several
mostly
people
security
dead.
issue tomorrow. The Mbonla, the
But even though the Lake Chad issue has the oil exploration aspect towards it, which is why we're going to have sort of twin direction, the oil exploration together with the security challenges. But I'm looking forward to a great discussion tomorrow. Most
Yes,
definitely.
we are.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Have a fantastic day. Bye.